One of the keys to the ongoing efficiency, effectiveness, and sustainability of America's transportation system, given the expanding population, resource constraints, and energy and climate realities of the 21st century, will be to revive and expand the U.S. passenger train network. But what will it take to break the policy deadlock that relegates passenger trains to the third-class status in our transportation network? In an attempt to answer this question, I embarked on a transcontinental train trip with 24 creative and civically engaged fellow millennials and accomplished mentors, and asked them to share their thoughts. Here are some of the train travel experiences and perceptions they shared with me as we rode from San Francisco to Washington, D.C.
I come from a relatively small town with very little transit and certainly no passenger trains within the city. We have maybe 3 Amtrak trains in both directions each day. But what really started making me excited about transportation and transit in general was living in Paris for about 8 months when I was 7 years old. When I lived in Paris, I got around an entirely different way. When I lived in North Carolina, I used to drive, or my parents used to drive me. But when I moved to Paris, we took the metro and took trains around the country. So it was a very different experience and really changed my life.
It was amazingly unique. I think the best part about it was, when I reflect on this, that usually when you travel, you go to a place, you go to a city, you take a bus, you take a train or something, even if you can get there. You go to the farmer's market, maybe you explore, you see the food, and you explore it sort of from the outside. You have an outside experience. But being here on the train as the chef, I've gotten to go to these places and I've gotten to get the food, and I've come back here to the train and kept going, but I've been able to take that place with me and then convey that in a meal. And I've been able to not just look at a farmer's market, but take things from it and then create with it. And it's been a very unique experience. I can't do that on a bus. I don't have the space to do that. I don't have the capacity. I can't share that with the people that I'm on the bus with, but I can do that here on the train. About everything in here is as small as I can possibly be.
Yeah.
But a refrigerator directly next to an oven is something you don't see too often.
Yeah.
Pasta is the hardest thing to cook in here.
Just because it takes
It's a train, so it sloshes side to side and bounces back and forth. So you can really only fill the pot up around a corner.
What are you going to take back from this experience that may inform how you do your job going forward?
I think simplicity and being able to communicate and share with your friends the experiences you had and the usefulness of the train in doing that, and providing the space, the comfort, and the facilities to be able to really communicate your experience through food on a much more higher level than just pictures and names and numbers and words or anything like that. You can bring it to people. I would love to see this happen again. I'd love to see this be a part of a new generation of train travel. And food can be that communicative experience, and it's a centering experience to be able to take these amazing dining cars and share the experience of travel.
Part of the charm of traveling by train in India is that you make friendships with complete strangers that you would never meet otherwise. You get into a conversation, but it's kind of a special experience. This is very unique because we kind of all know who everyone is. We know what the projects we're going to have, pretty organized routines. I think the bond will be different. I think it might be stronger. In India, I've had really, really cool experiences. Just I love traveling by train and waking up, and the guy with the coffee and tea is rolling it down. He says, coffee, coffee, chai, chai, coffee, real monotone voice, and sort of sets this environment that you never really get to experience anywhere else. So, yeah, I think every trip is unique, and traveling through America on a train like the one that we are, there's gonna be a few things that'll stick in my memory for 20, 30 years.
My train trips in India were mostly just for the purpose of getting from point A to point B. So it was not really for spending time and getting to know people. It was more about just traveling from point to point, such to say, because trains are a cheaper way to travel in India as opposed to airplanes. So when I was a student, I did a lot of rail journeys in India. But when I came to the US, I always wanted to try the Amtrak, but it was so expensive as a student, I could not afford it. But when I heard about the Millennial Trains project, I thought that there was this amazing way to do travel with purpose. Set out on a journey to do something useful for the society, but yet enjoy the beauty of America through the trains.
I think that people have known sort of for a long time that certain experiences can only be had in sort of long, intense travel. I think hence the sort of trend for road trips, and I think I kind of feel that Millennial Trains is like it's a road trip, except you don't have to do any of the driving, and so it has this sort of the same a lot of the same sort of bonding effects.
I wanted to take a cross-country trip at some point, and trains seem to eliminate a lot of the variables that you have to deal with when you are, the conventional way to do it is a road trip, but the train, you don't have to worry about gas, driving, fatigue, sitting in the same seat all day, so you can move around. You don't have to worry about a lot of the stuff that comes with the sort of conventional road trip or cross-country road trip.
Why have you had, before this, not really thought about trains much in the U.S. outside of the movies for?
I feel like they seem to be relatively inconvenient. They only run a couple times a day, so you're limited as far as when you can leave and go between a lot of cities. Trains have a lot of aspects that are really much better than others. They seem to be safer, less deaths per year by leaps and bounds, I'm sure. So it has a lot of positive aspects. You don't have to deal with the security hassle that you have to work with when you're flying. You can move around, and there's more space on train cars.
If there is a interest in getting young people involved and getting more awareness, and you really have to experience it. It's not just telling people a story. Like getting on the train today was real, looking out the window today is real. And the more people that you can get to experience that, I think, is one of the best ways to get more advocates.
And I always associated trains with my dad's commute, which he hated, and a way to visit New York. So it was sort of that link from suburbia to New York. Leaving the East Coast and leaving such a huge metropolitan area, I never thought about trains in my life and how they were used. I certainly never thought about them as far as serious distance travel or leisure or vacation. And I've been so inspired and moved by this experience that I hope every distance I take is by rail. I think it's very experiential movement, so you have to get kids and people on trains to understand that the power and the beauty in America that you can capture or you can experience when you're on a train. So if we can create programs or incentives that get people to use it more, I think it'll be start to be appreciated and utilized more. We take kids on a train trip and talk about science or talk about math. Like, it doesn't have to be about trains itself. This could just be a really fun experience and get people excited, but there should be more organizations doing programs on trains. I think that would be really cool. Of course, it's expensive and it's might be longer than plane, but this has touched my heart, and I hope to reconnect with this experience through rail for the rest of my life.
Awesome. I'm Malcolm Kenton. Join me for future installments of Revitalizing America Through Trains as I continue to explore the conditions needed to bring about an American passenger train renaissance.